I'm Charles Ludlow. In this video series, I'm going to be showing how I create labs for testing, troubleshooting, and learning. I'm going to be using Hyper-V in this video series, but you can choose to use another virtualization product. Just remember that the steps will differ sometimes. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how I set up my virtual PFSense router to simulate having a gateway, DHCP, and other network services. To get started, I'm going to open the Virtual Switch Manager and make sure that I have a LAN network set up with the private mode. That way it's not connected to my host, and that I have my internet connection set up. This is connected directly to a modem, and I'm not sharing it with my management operating system, also known as the Hyper-V host. Now we're going to create a virtual machine. I like to use fully qualified names and use ones that are publicly accessible. What this means is that this is a real registered domain. That doesn't necessarily mean that somebody could access it. Since no ports are going to be forwarded, in this video it won't be accessible on the internet. I'm going to use generation 2 as long as your virtual machine operating system is able to support UEFI, you can use generation 2. A gigabyte of RAM is plenty, and for now I'm going to connect it to WAN. PFSense doesn't need a lot of hard drive space, so I'm just going to give it 4 gigabytes. And for boot media, I'm just going to use the PFSense ISO file. I'm going to make a couple changes in settings. I'm going to give it another network adapter and connect this one to LAN. I'm going to disable time sync but enable guest services, disable automatic checkpoints, and not automatically start the VM. Everything here looks good to go now. We also need to disable secure boot since PFSense doesn't support it. We can save those settings now, and we can connect and start our virtual machine. PFSense will automatically boot up. This process doesn't take too long. We'll accept and just press enter. Here we're going to press the spacebar and then press enter. We'll use the arrow key to select yes and wait for the system to complete the installation. The installation is now complete, so we'll press enter to reboot. At this point, we're going to want to select the media option, select DVD drive, and eject our PFSense ISO file. That way it boots up from the virtual hard drive instead of booting up from the ISO file. Now we'll just wait for PFSense to boot up again. We're going to not set up VLANs at this point in time. HN0 is our WAN interface and HN1 is our LAN interface. We'll say yes to proceed and accept the changes. Now, my WAN interface uses DHCP, and it can sometimes be a little bit slow to respond. So I'm going to pause the video and wait for it to receive an IP address. All right, we're back, and we did receive a public IP. Now, for the purposes of the labs I run, I don't need IPv6. So the way we're going to disable that is by setting our IP addresses. So for one, we'll say we do want to configure our IPv4 address via DHCP. And for v6, we'll say no. We'll say enter for none, and we do not want to revert to HTTP. And now for our LAN interface, We'll select option 2 again. We'll select option 2 this time. Nope, we do not want to configure via DHCP. I'm just going to use 192.168.99.1/24, giving me approximately 254 addresses. We don't have an upstream gateway. We don't want to set up IPv6, so we'll say no and press enter. We do want DHCP on our LAN. 99, I'm going to just assign it 99.101 through 99.199. Oopsies. That is more than enough addresses for the lab, and we'll say no again as we do want to remain on HTTPS. And now we can verify our configuration by making sure that we can ping a public server like Cloudflare. All right, and that concludes setting up our router. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.